What's up, everybody? I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape From Tarkov video. In this video, we're going to be talking about the UMP, a brand new gun that came in the 12.9 patch. I've had a lot of people asking me about the gun. What are my thoughts on the gun? Is it worth buying? All that kind of stuff. So we're going to dive into the stats of the gun, the ammo, and my thoughts on if it's a viable weapon to use in Escape From Tarkov. Before we dive into that, though, I would love to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you've been around my channel for really any amount of time, that you know a lot of my content is centered around learning, whether it's learning new mechanics or new weapons or new stuff that came to Tarkov, or breaking down our own gameplay so that we can learn what we did well or what we did wrong. Learning has always been fundamental to who I am and what drives me, which is what makes this partnership so cool. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creatives and curious people to explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. There are tons of classes on the website for just about anything that you want to do. There's stuff if you're interested in getting started on Twitch, there's classes for that, breaking down Twitch and OBS. If you want to start editing your own gameplay, there's tons of video editing classes on multiple different video editors. I personally have always been excited and interested about photography as it's so closely related to videography, which is what I've done in the past. And I've been taking the DIY product photography class, which is actually taught by the guys over at Mango Street Lab, which is a YouTube channel that I've been watching for years. It's curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads and they're always launching new premium classes. So you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And the annual membership ends up coming out to less than $10 a month. What's also awesome is that the first 1,000 people to click the link below will get a free trial of the premium membership so that you can explore your creativity. With all that out of the way though, let's go ahead and dive into the video. So here we are with the HK UMP submachine gun, brand new submachine gun added to the game. And I've actually had a lot of people, it's been surprising at how many people have been asking me about the gun and want to know if it's worth using. I think a lot of people were excited about more submachine guns and just this specifically the UMP. So people want to know if it's worth it. So we can kind of start right at the beginning. It's purchasable fairly early on at Peacekeeper level 2. You can purchase it for $372. I believe that they lowered that a little bit. I think it was $400 on wipe day. But either way, currently it's $372, which, you know, you can kind of just throw that in here and see the conversion of it's 46,000 rubles. And you can buy the UMP. So once again, you can buy it pretty early, which is nice. But if we kind of break down some of the stats, the like recoil stats aren't terrible, but they're not great. 65 vertical recoil and 220 horizontal. You can put you know, your own foregrip on there, but even the best of the best foregrip isn't going to reduce recoil by an insane amount because we're only talking about a few percentages here. A lot of time, the big reduction in recoil is going to come from something like a buttstock, which you can't replace on the UMP, at least not yet. So really, to adjust the recoil, the only thing you can do is add a foregrip, which once again is not going to bring it down to 32 or anything. So I wouldn't really spend a whole lot of money on it. But that being said, it's not really, really hard to control. It's not like out of control or anything like that. You just kind of have to be aware of that. As far as modifications go, before we get into like how it feels and stuff like that, there's not a whole lot you can do to it currently in the game. You can add a foregrip, you can add an optic, you can add a flashlight or attack device, and that's it. You cannot currently suppress it, and you can't replace the buttstock or the pistol grip or anything like that. So sometimes that's a plus, because if it's got like, that's why I like the MDRs, because it's decent enough stats. There's not a whole lot to do to them. You're not spending hundreds of thousands of rubles on attachments. You just grab it and go. And that's what I like about it. This is kind of a similar thing. But a key that a lot of people are a little upset over, including myself, is that you can't suppress it. I don't know anything about guns in real life. Maybe the UMP can't be suppressed. I don't know, but you can't suppress it in the game. So that makes it, especially for solo players who are trying to stay a little bit quieter, that's a little rough. The other thing to note about the stats of the gun is that the fire rate is 600 rounds per minute, which is pretty slow. It shoots very slow for an SMG specifically, which means it's just less DPS. You're putting less bullets down range. However, in my experience, that normally means that the recoil of the gun is a little bit easier to control. For example, like last patch, I used a lot of the AKM or the AKM-N. And even though it's like meted out stats were a little bit higher than like a meta M4 or something like that, because it shot a little bit slower, it's a little bit easier to control, keep those shots on target. And I personally liked that, although a lot of people really didn't. They really didn't like the AKM because of the slow fire rate. So a lot of this stuff is going to be subjective. At the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to tell you, is it worth it or is it not? Because you're just going to have to decide that for yourself. I will say I've had a lot of fun with the gun, but it's not something that I'm probably going to be purchasing a lot either. The other thing to note about this gun currently is that the drop of the bullet at any sort of range is pretty insane. Now, once again, this could be 100% how 45 acts in real life, but it absolutely drops like a stone. So if you're running factory, if you're on customs running dorms or something like that, and you're close quarters with this gun, it's a lot of fun. But if you're trying to engage somebody at 50 meters, 60 meters, 70 meters away, it's going to be, or a scav or something, it's going to be really, really hard to hit those targets. I know that that's not what SMGs are meant for, but because of the state of 9mm right now in the game and how straight that flies, the fact that you can actually hit SMG shots on scavs 60, 70, 80, 90 meters away is pretty crazy. So that definitely plays into it. It shoots slow and the bullets drop, which really put this as a close range weapon, in my opinion. Now, before I can take it into the hideout and I can shoot it a little bit. Before that, we can take a look at the ammo. Because the 45 caliber is really kind of opened up a little bit in this patch because of all the new guns shooting it. So we're here on the wiki, which is the Escape From Tarkov wiki. Is just a great place to learn all this information. I'll link it down below as usual. But we've got 5 rounds. Basically, as per usual, all the middle rounds are going to get tossed away as worthless, and it's going to be most people will either go high pen or high flesh, and that's it. The 45 ACP AP round has 70 damage and 36 pen, which is only 3 less pen than the 7N31, which is the like meta best in slot 9mm round, which has 39 pen. So they're very closely linked there, and this has actually significantly more damage. I think the 7N31 has like 56 or somewhere in that range, and this is 70. So this round, in my opinion, is pretty solid. 36 pen means it's going through even like fast MT face shields reliably. You're going to be pushing right through class 4 armor, and even after a few shots, class 5 armor. So it's a pretty decent round. The 45 RIP has 127 damage and only 3 pen, which means, for leg meta, for scavs or whatever. I'm personally not a leg meta guy, but know that that is there. The FMJ is going to be like the next best in slot. So early wipe, where we are now, the FMJ is probably pretty viable. 23 pen. It's not amazing, but it's accessible earlier and it's a little bit cheaper. The slower fire rate of the UMP makes ammo more important because you're shooting much slower. And that means if you're missing any of your shots, every shot matters a lot. So the 23 pen is kind of really going to hurt you there with the slower fire rate. So I would really recommend using the 45 AP rounds if you're going to be using the UMP. Now, those are purchasable from level 3 skier, level 3 peacekeeper. And a lot of rounds do this where they say that it's 3 USD, but if you actually go to buy 100, it only costs 210 USD. So technically this round is only 2.1 USD and the game rounds it up. So that is, once again, in my opinion, a huge thing in favor of the AP round is that it's pretty cheap. You can buy 200 of them. They are oftentimes out of stock. This is one of those rounds where every time you can buy 200, in my opinion, you should be if you like to run this gun or the 45 Vector or something like that. It is a good round. The round is pretty inexpensive. It's nice that you can buy 200 of it, but it does sell out pretty frequently. So, you'll kind of want to stock up on it. It's not craftable as of yet as well. A really quick comparison, we're talking about 9mm weapons. 9mm AP, which is the second best 9mm round. The FMJ AP round has more pen than the 9mm AP round, and it's almost double the price because this actually ends up being 2 4.1 USD a round. And this is 3.45 USD a round. So it's cheaper than the 9mm AP, and you can buy more of it. So it's interesting what they do with all these things, but just know that. And then one final thing before we actually show it off is the fact that the 25 round mags are the biggest that you can do. So that is another thing where 25 rounds isn't a lot. It doesn't feel too bad because of the slower fire rate, but there's no way to put like a 50 round mag in this thing at all. So we can actually take it here into the hideout and kind of just shoot it and show you guys a little bit of what we mean about that slow fire rate. Another thing that a lot of people don't like is the front sight. Like you can see I have a riser on this RMR because the front sight, if you just put like a PK06 on it, the front sight can get in the way. So that's another thing. Just single fire and full auto. And you can see that fire rate. You know what I mean? It just feels slow. You can hear every single one of those bullets. From distance, it's hard to control. You know what I mean? That was just like if I crouch and then hold my breath, it's a little bit easier. But you can see that jump left to right at distance. I don't know if in here you can actually see, like if I aim at the light. No, it's not too bad in here, but I'll show you guys the drop in like a clip or something. So that's it. Once again, close range, you're going to be kind of just, it's an SMG. Close range, you're going to just be plowing through people. It's really easy to control close range, but the farther out you get, the harder it is to do. 25 round mags, stuff like that. So that's UMP. My thoughts are, it's a fun gun to run. I like new guns. I like new calibers. I like the 45 AP round. I like the MDR aspect of it where it's simple. All you got to do is slap an optic on it. And if I have a foregrip laying around, I'll throw it on. But it has huge downfalls. It fires slow. It has a ton of drop. It doesn't have amazing stats, only 25 round mags, that kind of stuff. It can fold down to a really small, so that might make it easy to take if you kill somebody with it. And if I end up with a few in my stash, I'll run them. They're fun guns. They're fun guns to run, but they're not like meta. They're not like, you know, insane Chad destroyers. It's going to be hard if you run up against somebody who's pretty geared, who's been no life in the game and is towards the end game gear. You are going to struggle to kill them. You're going to have to go for those face shots. So as always, I can't tell you whether a gun is worth it or not. It is fun to use, however, so I'll use it when I have it. And that's kind of my thoughts. The last thing I'll talk about is the fact that the price difference. So we talked about how you can purchase it for 372 USD, and that 372 USD comes out to 46,000, just under 47,000 rubles. From Skier 2, you can purchase a 9mm Vector for 55,000 rubles, and this shoots insanely faster and has 50 round mags and can be suppressed. So once again, value is subjective. If you have one in your stash because you killed somebody with it, it costs you nothing. But if you're buying one, know that there are alternatives in the price range that have more flexibility and stuff like that. So that's the UMP. I hope that this helped maybe just break it down, maybe give you a little bit of information, maybe just make you aware of some of its, you know, upsides or downsides, and hopefully you can have some fun trying out the UMP in Escape from Tarkov. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you liked the video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. All that stuff helps me out a ton, so thank you to those that do that. Like we said before, I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch, and all my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey. Our Discord link is also below, which is an awesome place to meet new people or get some help if you're struggling with some of the early game stuff. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring the video, and thank you for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.